Hello, everyone. We are in chapter 6 of the Old Testament book of Daniel. This is going to be our last day in Daniel. There are still 6 more chapters to this book, but they represent the visions that God blessed Daniel with, and he records there. The first 6 chapters have been kind of a history of Daniel's life, and we've learned a lot along the way, I hope. This chapter is the famous chapter that everybody thinks of when they think of Daniel. Daniel and the lion's den. Now, you need to know that Daniel has been away from Jerusalem for decades at this point. He is not under King Nebuchadnezzar anymore. He's under King Darius, and he has got to be in his 70s at this stage. He is a wise man who has served the courts of Babylon well, and at the whole time remained faithful to the God of Israel. Well, there are other administrators around him that are envious of his high rank and position, and the only way for advancement is to get rid of the competition. So they have looked for ways to kind of discredit Daniel so that they could get his job, but they found nothing. Daniel is absolutely the best administrator in the organization. And so they come to a conclusion at verse 5. So they concluded, our only chance of finding grounds for accusing Daniel will be in connection with the rules of his religion. There are a couple of things that could be unpacked in that sentence. You see, the rules of his religion, that would be the perspective of these other administrators, whereas Daniel doesn't see it as rules of a religion, but rather just a commitment to the one true God. His faith, his relationship. That's what makes it so easy for Daniel to stay committed to his relationship with Christ, or with his relationship with God, because he sees it as a relationship, not as a set of rules or obligations. Well, at any rate, these administrators, taking that perspective of trying to trap Daniel, convinced the king to pass a new ordinance, a law that would require everyone to worship him, that would be King Darius, for the next 30 days. It sounds like a great law from King Darius's perspective. Why not have everybody worship me exclusively for the next 30 days? But they trick him into writing the law in such a way that it cannot be repealed. And they hold the law very sacred in this particular society. So, sure enough, Daniel is not going to obey it. He prays to the God of Israel 3 times a day, and he makes no bones about it. And so sure enough, the administrators catch him. They bring him to the king, and Darius's heart sinks because he realizes he's been tricked and his own vanity has been fed into by these administrators to trick him into killing his most faithful and committed employee. Here's what happens at verse 14. Hearing this, the king was deeply troubled, and he tried to think of a way to save Daniel. He spent the rest of the day looking for a way to get Daniel out of this predicament. King Darius understood the value of Daniel, and he respected Daniel's commitment to the God of Israel. Now, Darius hadn't taken that commitment on himself, which is why he was so easily duped into this scenario. Well, you can read what happens next. You already know. But being refreshed to the details will be fun as you see the story of Daniel being thrust into the lion's den, the king remaining absolutely faithful to his understanding of the law, but really hoping that it doesn't turn out as bad as it's supposed to. And it doesn't, because the God of Israel again comes through for Daniel. Daniel the next day ends up being released, and then those administrators and their families who had tricked the king are thrown in with the lions, and the lions eat them immediately because they didn't have anything to eat the whole time that Daniel was in there with them. Here's how the whole section ends. So Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian. Cyrus would be the last emperor or king that Daniel would serve before dying. But we get this vision throughout all of these chapters that Daniel served his employers with complete commitment, and he was loyal. But he was able to stay true to the faith by wholeheartedly believing and serving the God of Israel. That is the lesson for us as we go into a world that has its own sense of perspective and its own sense of morality. We must remain wholeheartedly committed to Jesus Christ and the teachings of Jesus. We believe in the way. We live our lives differently. We remain faithful to God, knowing that that is different than what the world teaches. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Because in living differently, we invite people to join us. And we will earn their respect, not by doing what they've asked us to do, but by living by the standards to which God has given us, by experiencing the love of Jesus Christ, and by sharing that love with others. So go out and know that you can love others because He loved us first. Have a great day, everyone. If these devotional videos are helpful to you, subscribe to our channel and click the notification button so you know when we post a new video. And of course, please share them with others.